Ya. Sí, sí, sí. Pero este aquí solo lo tienes en una toma, ¿no? Porque estos son para cuando son
Cuando
los
están,
presentadores.
cuando están streameando y eso. Sí. Ahorita nada más lo tengo en una toma. Y tenemos acá el brand se pone solito en el, hasta cuando puedes poner el brand, eso se pone solito. Y aquí tengo algunos overlays, pero no necesitas ahorita ningún overlay. Y el countdown, ¿ok?
¿El de Science Fair lo vas a agregar?
¿Cuál?
¿El logo o ya no?
Ah, lo puedo agregar.
Para los cambios, ¿no?
Sí.
These projects about science fair and sustainable economy. And that information that you have already heard, that makes you independent researchers too. And we are very happy because we are going to present our projects today. For you, they are going to be tomorrow. But today, the little ones from low primary are going to present their projects. And please never stop being curious. We always learn something new. Thank you and welcome to our Science Fair 2022. Thank you.
We are inviting all the teachers, head teachers, and staff to join our students in this presentation to witness what they have learned recently as well. Colegio del Pilar is honored to introduce Dr. Roberto Ruiz. He was born on December the 6th, 1964. But pay attention, guys, this is super interesting. He has a Master of Science with a specialty in genetics and biology. He belonged to the molecular department of genetics and molecular biology at Simba-Staff. He is a doctor in science, plant biotechnology, and plant genetic engineering. His postdoctoral stay, laboratory of Dr. William J. Lucas, biology section plant at University of California. His current position and category is attached to the Department of Biotechnology and Bioengineering category, Simba Staff 3C Researcher. He has published 63 articles in indexed journals. There are 1,500 citations to his works, 4 national patents, and 2 international patents. UC Mexus George Brown Award 2000. Lines of investigation, intercellular transport of RNA and proteins in plants, and their role in development. The study of the plant-virus interaction, and the role of vascular tissues in the defense response in plants. And now, let's give a big round of applause to Dr. Roberto Ruiz.
Okay, good morning. Thank you very much for the invitation. Really, I feel honored. I know that the relief heater, but still, I really thank you for the invitation. So I would like to talk about. I think the subject of the science fair right now is this week is sustainability. So why is this important? Well, we can have the first slide. So it has to do with these sustainable goals of the United Nations. So I would like to start with this quote. So the proper use of science is not to conquer nature, but to live in it and sustain it. Because before we thought of the mankind thought that the resources were unlimited. Now we know that we don't have as much resources as we thought we have. So, oops, sorry. No. Eh? Is this better? Okay, thank you. Now you can listen. ¿Eh? No oigo, perdón. Ah, okay, okay, okay. Now, so, okay, is this better? Okay, okay. So, to get into the matter of the things, I would like to talk about sustainability. So, which are the goals that the United Nations has set for the next 15 years, for example? Can I have the next slide? So, the United Nations, a lot of people that know a lot more than I do, have gathered and proposed 17 goals to transform our world. Transform it for the better, not for the worse. So, we can have the next slide. So, which are these goals? So, first, we have to eradicate poverty. So, Mexico is in the middle of the table regarding poverty. So, there's poverty. Okay, is this better? Okay. So, Mexico is much better than many other countries, but still lags behind countries, rich countries, in that wealth is not very evenly distributed. You get that? So the first goal would be to eradicate poverty. Then the next goal would be to eradicate hunger, and then obtain good health and well-being for all the people in the earth. Quality education for all the people, gender equality, which in many countries, Muslim countries, for example, is a big problem. For example, in Mexico, it's also a big problem, gender equality. Now, clean water and sanitation. Right now, I'm sure you have seen the news in Nuevo León. There's a big drought. Uh, not only because it's not raining, because it has been overused. I don't know if you know Querétaro, El Bajío, is running out of water. So we need to save water and find ways to save even more water.
Es que lo que pasa es que lo desconecté, espérame. Si no se me va a acabar la pila. Poder volverlo a pantalla. Pero igual que la plataforma. ¿Quieres que la refresque?
Okay. Okay. Now, we need to take,
Se me fue a apagar la cámara.
consider responsible consumption and production.
Ahí como que quiso entrar. No lo puedo creer.
We also work together. Thank you. Thank you.
Porque ahí sí se va cuando...
Sí.
So, although we feel that the hunger situation in the world is that, we just feel what the situation was, there's a 100
Y si lo lee.
Sí, sí, sí.
before the
Igual lo vuelves a cerrar la sesión.
there were hungers.
Every now and then. There were hungers. There was a hunger here in Mexico City during the revolution in 1915. Many people died because political strife, but also, for example, if there was a drought, there was nothing to do. There was no way to improve productivity. Now there are many ways to increase productivity. So the situation is better, but still it's not enough. So what can we do? Well, we can achieve food security, considering that we can improve the traits of the plants, the crops that we eat. We have to improve nutrition because sometimes the nutrients that plants contain are not enough, but we can fortify these plants by means of fertilizing and other more sophisticated techniques. Okay? And sustainable agriculture. I mean, we cannot just, okay, we are going to grow here more corn plants and we just tear apart the forest. No, we need to, what the, the land that we already have, we have to make it more efficient to produce more plants, for example. And eventually, for example, we need to increase also cattle production. Yeah, some people don't like meat, and the science is helping with that, producing artificial meat in the lab. Yeah. From the cells that make the muscles of cows, they are grown in huge fermenters, and you can obtain this kind of artificial meat. So you don't feel as guilty eating these cells than killing animals for steak. Okay, and I have the next one. Okay, so there's a lot of new technology that can help to achieve food security. One of these is what I'm just telling you, making plants more efficient. For example, adapting to less water, yeah, less fertilizers. And we can do that by biotechnology. So biotechnology can help a lot to increase productivity. Improve nutrition, as I say, well, we can fortify plants by adding some vitamins that they don't normally contain, or making the plants themselves produce those vitamins. For example, vitamin A. Okay, sustainable agriculture, as I told you, well, it's we need to make this process agriculture more efficient, so we use less land. Okay, the next one, please. Okay, so this is very important, and I think we found out during the pandemic that we need more healthcare workers. We need more nurses, need more doctors, because when a pandemic strikes, well, no country is prepared. We need to be more prepared, and to be more prepared is to train more people in the healthcare system. Uh, um, and well, the need for more doctors is more urgent in countries like this, in low and middle income countries like Mexico. Okay, may I have this the next one? So, okay, this is also very important. We think, oh, I don't like to study math because I want to be a singer or whatever. I don't need math. Well, we need math, for example. You know, when politicians, for example, don't know math, they don't know how to add numbers. There's a disaster when politicians don't know any math, because they think, wow, we have a lot of resources, and in reality, we don't have that many resources. So it's essential math. So it's very important that we know a big deal more of math we uh, than we know. And here you have a very good math preparation here in this school. So so take advantage of that. Okay, and science education here is very good. So take it. I mean, take advantage of that. But okay, quality education is possible. Yeah, we know. Not only public education, private education is possible. So we need more, at least in Mexico, to get this quality education to more people. Yeah, we don't need to create just because I think another university. No, we need to be sure that the right people are getting the right education. Okay, may I have the next one? And gender equality. That's also very important. We think that this gender inequality only exists in Muslim countries. This the religion has some to do with that, but not always. But in Mexico, we have a lot of gender inequality. Sometimes it's more subtle than what we see in other countries, but still there is gender inequality. We need to get the same quality education, for example, the same opportunities for boys and girls. Okay, may I have the next one? Access to water and sanitation. In Mexico, a lot of people don't have access to water. Here in Mexico City, you see sometimes, well, we don't have any running water, and we need these pipes, these trucks with water to bring water to some inaccessible. Settle in a place above a hill and say, okay, we this is going to be our home now, but they don't have any services. So we need to make communities more in a more planned way, so everyone uh, gets the service for some water and electricity, as we'll see a little bit later on. For example, in well, this is a staggering number. but 2.2 billion people lack safely managed drinking water. Dirty water is a source of disease. Uh, Cholera epidemics were very common before. We killed millions of people around the globe. Now they are very rare, but still, there's a lot of things to do. Okay, and well, this may I have the previous one. This person he's a researcher who designed a very cheap way to obtain drinking water from uh, seawater, from salt water. So you see, you don't need very sophisticated technology to resolve some of these problems. For example, this is relatively simple and cheap. In fact, there's another technology that now it's being sold in other countries, in which you have like a collector of water, of humidity in the air. You collect that water, and you obtain drinking water, and it's not very expensive. But you need research. You need people to think how to solve problems. It's not it's not just you make a decision as a politician. I want to solve this problem. Oh, okay, wait, not so fast. We need to know the problem better. And now that we know the problem better, we can try to find a solution for that problem. But first, we need to study the problem. It's, for example, if you have a homework and they tell you, find a question of this um, for this curve. You have no idea what an equation is. You just see, let's say, a curved drawing. You need a lot of background first. Ah, okay, this is algebra. This is math. How can I solve it? Step by step, you can solve it. But first, you need to know the problem better. Okay? Okay, the next one, please. Yeah. And well, a lot of people don't have access to electricity. It's the same problem. And how do we produce electricity? Electricity in Mexico is being produced right now in a very dirty way. We use the waste of the oil industry, which is very polluting, to produce electricity. So first, we need to a way to depend less on oil and more on sustainable energy to obtain electricity. For example, wind energy. Okay, so also it's not very expensive, but we need research, and also we need people committed to find solutions. Okay, I'm gonna have the next one. Okay, for example, wind turbines. This is a sustainable way to obtain electricity. Maybe it's not the best. Maybe we'll find better. But for the time going, this is a very good solution to obtain electricity. Better than using these very old plants which use diesel, for example, or waste pulp from the oil industry that we use in Mexico right now. I have the next one. Okay. So, uh, economic growth is not just a number. I mean, it means we are doing better or doing worse than previous years. And if people is unemployed, obviously we are not doing good. So we need to find a decent employment, not just, for example, selling candies in the streets. We need something more stable for the people. So we need people to not beg for money in the streets. That's not a job. That's charity. We need something more stable. We might have the next one. So, how can we do this? Obviously, as the economy grows, we have to find ways for the people to find a decent employment. For example, in the pandemic, many people found out that maybe I don't have to go all the time to the office for work. I can work from my house sometimes. In my case, that's not possible because I work in the lab. I cannot do experiments remotely. So I have to go to a lab and work. But in other case, it's possible to find solutions like this working remotely. Okay, may I have the next one? Okay, now internet. Internet is very important. I mean, I'm very old, so I remember when there was no internet. For example, I was in Spain in 1985 with my family, and I remember there was a huge earthquake here in Mexico. There was no internet, so we just knew of this huge earthquake by the news on TV. Then we didn't know anything about our family, but 2 weeks later, after we received the letter. So internet has changed a lot of things now, right now, and it's very important. I mean, you can find a lot of good things, bad things in internet, but still, it's very important to connect people and to find very quick information. For example, if you are doing your homework, uh, usually, I mean, let's be realistic. You don't look for the encyclopedia for information. Just look for internet. In fact, there are some web pages dedicated for homework that someone else had done already, which I don't think that's good because you have to do your job yourself. Is to find the information, but still, in internet you can find a lot of information. But people who have no access to internet cannot find this information. And in fact, it's people who have poor access to internet may be susceptible to misinformation. Of course, that also happens with people who have access to internet, but that's another matter. That sometime we can talk about that later. Anyway, so in low-income countries, only 19% have access to internet, to information. Sometimes it's essential. For example, in many countries, if there's a warning of a tornado, of a hurricane, whatever, you can inform the people, well, there's a tornado coming in your direction, so move, get away from this place. But if you have no internet, you have only access to open TV, maybe you don't get all the information. So sometimes it's a matter of life and death. Okay. Okay, so we need also to reduce inequalities. There's a lot of inequality in the world. Uh-huh. And some of these stems that we are not uh, equal in many ways. I mean, being different is not bad. I mean, we are all different. We are in some way, everyone, unique in a genetic way. But still, some people get discriminated because they are in some way different. Okay? Okay. So, may I have the next one? Okay. And the next one? Yes. Um, Now, uh, about sustainable communities and cities. In the world, 9 out of 10 people living in cities in the world breathe bad air quality. That's not good. But you see, this is Mexico City in the mid to late 90s. That's a long time ago. But I remember in that time, Mexico City, the air quality of Mexico City was very bad. I mean, every day you have a lot of contamination, a lot of ozone, and and many people thought, I mean, there's nothing we can do to solve this problem. But then, this program that many have criticized, hoy no circula. Today we don't circulate, we don't drive the car. But it has helped a lot to improve air quality in Mexico, something that people said it's not possible. So you see, we can solve problems if we want, if we have the right tools to solve the problems. Okay, I have the next one. And eventually we can, and this is something that in many cities, even in Mexico City, is being done. That we are planting trees everywhere. In the northern part of Mexico City, we don't have as many trees as we want to, but still, it's better than a few years ago. Okay, and the idea is, for example, create these vertical forests in many cities. This is in Singapore, where many high-rise buildings have a lot of plants, even trees, and it seems to improve air quality because trees, plants, they suck CO2 from the air. CO2 is a pollutant. Is contaminates the air, and also it produces a greenhouse effect. So it's better if we can just take away the CO2. The plants eat CO2. Yeah, they make their food out of CO2 using light energy. So we can use plants to make precisely that, to make cleaner air in cities. Okay, may I have the next one? Well, now, as you see, what at least in rich countries, when they just don't want their TV anymore, they just throw it away. But there's a lot of contaminants, pollutants in TV sets, in computers. And these are all sent, many of them are sent to countries such as India and Bangladesh, where people take away, all the components of microchips, electronic circuitry, which is then recycled. But not enough is recycled. And right now, that activity is dangerous because these people work without any protection. So we need to recycle more. Find those bins, garbage bins, where we throw away the batteries. Yeah, for example, and we need to find places where we specialize places where we can throw away the computers that we don't want anymore, or we can uh, update the computer so we don't need to just throw them away. So we need to be more efficient with that. With electronics waste, only 20% you recycle, as we can see here. Okay. Okay. So now, what's the solution? Obviously, there's not just one solution. There are many solutions, and one of them is instead of using the components of the computers, instead of using these very polluting components, we can use components that are biodegradable. That's it. That these components can be thrown away in the soil, and then the microorganisms that live in the soil can eat those components, and then we don't have this trash that lives on forever in the soil. Okay, may I have the next one? Okay. Mhm. Okay, and now climate action. What should we do? We know that the weather is crazy. Right now, it's very hot. And we have seen an increase in temperature. If you graph what the mean temperature of the Earth's surface was, let's say 100 years ago, and now it has increased. And you say, well, it's just 1-2 degrees. Well, that's a lot. For example, Venus, the planet, it's like a mean, or not mean, the evil twin of Earth, Venus. And Venus might have had life or conditions for life a long time ago. But there was, we don't know how, but it had some CO2, carbon dioxide in its atmosphere. And somehow it increased. Something made it increase, but very little. So the CO2 increased in the atmosphere of this planet, and now it became well, an oven. It's basically an oven, or hell, if you want to use more biblical terms, but it's very hot right now, and life there is impossible, just because there was this very fine balance between the amount of this gas that we have right now on Earth. So if we keep, pushing the limits, uh, we might trigger a change that we cannot reverse. So we need to find a way to decrease the amount of these gases that have this greenhouse effect in the atmosphere. Okay. Okay. So this is very important. We need to stop global warming. Yeah. And solutions are being done right now. The first one, we need to use more hybrid and electric cars, for example. The factories that pollute a lot now pollute less because more stringent regulation. Okay, so this seems very simple, but it can be done. And the effect right now, for example, the forecast for the temperature increase was not very good, let's say 20 years ago. Right now, we seem to that we are meeting with these regulations, so that the increase in temperature, in global temperature, is not as steep as we thought once, let's say 20 years ago. Okay, may I have the next one? And well, people before thought that the resources in the sea were unlimited. Now we know that's not the case. We cannot just fish and fish and fish, because we are creating because we are creating like voids in the ocean where there is almost no fish life. So instead of fish, we find, for example, jellyfish. Lots of jellyfish, because they lack natural predators. And this is not very good, because they consume a lot of resources, these jellyfish, and we cannot use them. So it's better to have fish than just jellyfish in an ocean. That's one problem. Another problem is the acidification of the ocean. And this happens, well, using acidification is the seawater becomes, in the oceans, become more acid. So you will think, well, that's no big deal. So what? Well, problem is the life in the sea is depends on a certain pH, certain amount of acidification to survive. If we increase that acidification, the organisms in the sea might die, and then we have the overfishing. But now it's just a matter of regulation and find, for example, the Chinese use a lot of these fish farms, which are more sustainable, and they only fish. They catch those fishes in those fish farms, not in the open ocean, so that this is more sustainable. Okay. Now the next one. Well, life on land. I mean, we know that logging, illegal logging, is affecting trees, forests everywhere, uh, and for this we need to plant more trees. But it's not a matter of, okay, I have this nice tree, I'm going to plant 1,000,000 trees here. What happens when you don't do the research, for example? Well, these trees, if you plant them, most of them will die, because you planted a tree that is not native to this place. It's not adapted to this soil. Okay? We need to plant trees that are native to a soil, because otherwise they will die. They need to, they like to interact with the microbes in the soil, these trees. And if they are not the right microbes, the trees will die. So you see, we have to analyze the soil, for example, and see, okay, this tree, will it survive in these conditions, or do we need something else to make this tree survive? And what happens if we use, for example, a tree that is not native to here? And I'm sure you have seen the eucalyptus. No, that's a tree that it's very tall, and it's very good for reforestation. But the problem is, once you plant eucalyptus, no other plant will grow around the eucalyptus because it kills all the other plants and it sucks the water from the soil. So it's good if you want to drain a swamp, for example, you plant eucalyptus. Otherwise, it's better to find a native tree to plant there. So it's not as easy, but thinking and doing some research can help solve these problems. Okay. Okay. So this is, like I said before, this is a no-brainer. So obviously, this is all very nice, but if we are not in peace in a country or with other countries, we cannot achieve these goals. And also, to to help solve these problems, we need strong institutions that do not depend on a single person. That many people can decide, for example, how these institutions will work. For some institutions, for democracy and for social justice. Okay. The next one, and then finally, partnership for the goals. So obviously, not a single country can do this. Not a single person can do this. We need all work together to find solutions to all these problems. And I mean, humankind has always faced a lot of problems. But some of these problems, I mean, we are not even aware of those because they have disappeared. Yeah. For example, all the diseases that we had before, most of them because of vaccination have disappeared. Now there are strong institutions that or laws that for some now can solve problems or disputes between people. Because, for example, before, if you didn't like someone, you could go on and, well, kill that person. Now we have laws that forbid to take your justice in your own hand, for example. But as I say, we need a lot of cooperation between all the members of society in Mexico and the whole world. Right now may not be the best time, but I can assure you, we're much better than, let's say, 30 and 40 years ago, global wide. Okay? May I have the next one? Okay, finally, before you end up uh, very bored with this lecture, which is not a lecture, it's a talk, very informal talk. No one is too small to help. You can help by recycling, by reading. I mean, just doing your homework and studying, it's a lot. I mean, some people don't even like to. Some people are afraid of knowledge. I'm sure you are not. You have lots of very interesting projects in your science fair. Anyway, well, I would like to finish with this slide and thank you for your attention. Okay.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ruiz. It has been very interesting and amazing to learn more about sustainability campaign. And there is a small present for you to thank you for this conference, for this talk. Thank you very much. And now it is time for fourth, fifth, and sixth graders to go to your classrooms. But, yes, but wait, listen. We are going to go to our classrooms. We are going to follow our teacher's instructions. And later on, we are going to go and visit our lower primary classmates in order to know and learn more about sustainability. Thank you very much and welcome to our science fair.